2 days ago, Elon Musk was on Fox News on Hannity show, where he had a very interesting exchange. During this exchange, the two men touched on several topics. They touched on the topic of the Tesla cars being vandalized in several cities across the nation. They talk of the attacks on the dealerships of the Tesla cars. They talk of the health of the two astronauts that were stuck in space for more than 8 months and that came back a few days ago, brought back by the company owned by Elon Musk, SpaceX. And the exchange was very interesting. Please play the clip.
Why do I see people like I woke up this morning and saw that Teslas were put ablaze in one of your dealerships in Vegas? I've seen this happen all over the country. Bullets are being fired. Charging stations are put ablaze. Teslas are being put ablaze. You have experienced assassination, threats of assassination for you and your family. What have you done that warrants this? Because I see nothing that you have done except help our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or the Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged. There's some kind of mental illness thing going on here because this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it because this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
You just rescued 2 astronauts that have been in space for 286 days. They were only supposed to be there 8. You helped the people in North Carolina, Tennessee, California. You have, I think, the most creative and innovative car on the market. You created Starlink for communications that's used by hundreds of countries. You're working on helping the blind see and all of these other things. Is it really come down to the basic, you're aligned with President Donald Trump, who also is a friend of mine, and that you have identified well over $100 billion in waste, fraud, abuse that our federal government never should have been spending? Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, it turns out when you take away people's, the money they're receiving fraudulently, they get very upset, and they basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud, and they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government. And well, I guess they're bad people. Bad people will do bad things.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about the health issues that the astronauts will face. They only trained for an 8-day mission, but there are certainly things involved with returning to gravity, adjusting to gravity, nauseousness, but then it gets a little bit more serious, a variety of other health problems. Bones become about 1% less dense for every month that they are in space. That could lead to issues like osteoporosis or bone fracture, et cetera. Astronauts grow in space because the spinal column expands. There was one astronaut, Scott Kelly, he became 2 inches taller, and others then, when it contracts when you come back, then they have some back issues. They have vision issues because fluids in the eye shift upward to the head. You can explain baby feet if you want. They will have some significant health issues that they're going to be facing, but they'll be okay.
Yeah, the normal amount of time that astronauts are supposed to be in zero G is about 3 months, and then really at the most about 6 months. That's sort of the normal rotation, and they were up there for almost 10 months. So that's really going beyond what is healthy or good.
President Trump was asked about this ongoing situation, and he had this to say. Play the clip.
Lunatics are setting fire to Teslas all across the country. Another horrible incident happened in Las Vegas last night. The FBI is on the scene investigating, and there's an ongoing investigation being led by Pam Bondi. In what you've seen so far, do you consider what's happening an act of domestic political terrorism against one of your allies?
So Elon is a patriot. And again, I hardly knew Elon until the election. And he turned out that he liked me better than he liked these radical lunatics that were in it, better than Kamala, better than Joe, because he's an intelligent person. And he backed me, and he went, and he got very much involved. He actually would go around saying, if Trump doesn't win, our country is over.
But do you consider this an act of domestic terrorism?
I think so.
Why?
I think that if and when they catch the people, and I hope they do, the good thing is they have a lot of cameras in those places, and they've caught some already having to do with that. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
The Secretary of Commerce of the United States of America was on Fox News today, where he talked about the current situation with the Tesla cars being vandalized across the nation and the Tesla stock being very low right now. He said that his advice to people will be that they start buying Tesla stocks because they will never be as cheap as they are right now. Basically.
So, Secretary, how are you interpreting firebombing Teslas?
I mean, this is just so outrageous. You have probably the best entrepreneur, the best technologist, the best leader of any set of companies in America working for America, and you have this sort of weird side of the Democratic Party attacking him. Let me remind you, he's the guy who saved the astronauts, and he's the guy who's going to build the next generation technology. I think if you want to learn something on this show tonight, buy Tesla. It's unbelievable that this guy's stock is this cheap. It'll never be this cheap again. When people understand the things he's building, the robots he's building, the technology he's building, people are going to be dreaming of today and Jesse Waters and thinking, gosh, I should have bought Elon Musk's stock. I mean, who wouldn't invest in Elon Musk? You got to be kidding.
All right, so you're calling the bottom. This is it.
Whether today's the bottom or not, I tell you what, Elon Musk is probably the best person to bet on I've ever met. And I think we all know that. I mean, gosh, in the same week that he saves astronauts with his rockets that he invented, imagine that. He's building the coolest robots you've ever seen. Go online and look up Optimus. It is the coolest thing you've ever seen. We're all going to be buying robots. They're going to cost about $30,000. You're going to be buying a Tesla robot, and anybody who doesn't buy a Tesla robot is going to be silly. No one's going to be keying anything. Elon Musk is the best entrepreneur and technologist in America, and I bet on him. I wish I was allowed, but I'm not allowed to buy any stock.
During this same exchange, the Commerce Secretary also touched on the gold cat. You all remember that President Trump has created a gold cat, which is a pathway to citizenship for businessmen across the world. With a sum of $5 million, they can get the gold cat, which will permit them to become U.S. citizens and to establish their business and pay their taxes in the U.S. He explained what this gold cat is going to do to the American economy. Play the clip.
You wanted to talk about these gold cards. Now, everyone's
the Trump
saying
card.
these
We're going
gold
to call
cards,
it the Trump card.
Yeah, the Trump card. Everyone's saying this is a recipe for corruption. How do you prevent that from people, just shady guys buying their way in here and doing dirty stuff?
Okay, so you had the Biden administration let in 20 million people for free. So that's number one. Number two, we have all these programs where we give out green cards. We just give them out for free. We have a lottery, we have EB, the employment-based visas. All of this stuff is given away for free. What we're going to do is we are going to, for $5 million, we are going to get the greatest entrepreneurs in the world to come to America, to live in America, and to build in America. So they'll pay tax in America. They don't have to pay tax in the rest of the world. And they're going to come here, and this is going to be an amazing thing for America. If we sell 100,000 a year, which is what we give away, a portion, we give away about 230,000 a year. If we sell 100,000, that's $500 billion a year. It'll pay off our deficit, and it'll balance the budget of the United States of America.
President Trump sat down with Laura Ingraham of Fox News, where they discussed several topics. One of the main topics that they talked about was the order by a federal judge in Maryland, who ordered the Trump administration to reinstate the USAID workers that were fired and also to reinstate the status of the USAID as established by Congress. Play the clip.
Federal judges, district court judges, to order a sitting president to reinstate fired employees. You're the chief executive officer of the United States. You order that these agencies be reviewed.
Fired employees, many of whom didn't even report to work, many of whom were scamming this country. And you see the same things. I could read them off, and I did during various speeches. I read off deal after deal after deal, all big scams. And we have a guy that wants to make a name for himself. You know, in many cases, they're just grandstanders. They want to make a name for themselves. So we'll appeal it, and hopefully we will meet with reasonable appeals. You know, I've won great cases on appeals.
Yeah, well, some of the, maybe people weren't fired, maybe they were temporarily put on suspended. So we'll see how this plays out. But he's very unhappy with what happened at USAID.
Well, he shouldn't be. You know what he should do? He should really look at where the money went. They don't ever want to do that. You know, the Democrats always talk about, oh, our Constitution's been violated. The one thing they never talk about is, where did these billions of dollars go? They never want to look, because when you see where the money went and the scams, you don't even have to see anything. Just look at the heading and the scam that they've created. And a judge like him will never look at that. They'll just say, oh, you want to, it sounds so nice. USAID, isn't it beautiful? But it's a whole big scam, Laura. And a judge like that is so bad for our country.
So 3 days ago, a federal judge released an order to stop or to block 2 deportation flights that were carrying some alleged gang members of some organization that were designated by the US as foreign terrorist organization. This order by this judge received several critics from the right. One of the main critics came from President Trump, who, during his interview with Laura Ingraham of Fox News, had this to say. Play the clip.
Will rule in your favor in this case.
Because the job of getting people out of our country that are murderers, that are absolutely the worst people, the drug lords, we're supposed to be getting them out or getting them brought to justice.
Would you defy a court order? Because we all know that, and that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges.
The judge that offered the order to block the 2 deportation flights received a strong rebuke by President Trump. He had very strong words towards this judge. He said this, play the clip.
I mean, rulings unrelated, but having to do with me, he's a lunatic.
Tom Holman, the border czar, went on Fox News, where he had this reaction to the judge's order. Play the clip.
We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
After the judge, the district court judge, released the order to stop the 2 deportation flights carrying the illegal immigrants, President Trump suggested that those type of judges that are releasing orders aim at stopping his administration's activity or mission should be or may be impeached. Chief Justice Roberts released a statement where he clarified certain points. Play the clip.
For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose.
The suggestion by President Trump that these judges should be impeached also had some reaction on the left. The independent senator from the state of Vermont, Senator Bernie Sanders, went on CNN where he had this reaction. Play the clip.
Well, I don't know Roberts all that well. I'm not a great fan of his court, but I think he does understand, I suspect, the danger of a president who does not respect the Constitution of the United States and wants more and more power for himself.
It would take 67 senators to remove a judge from the federal bench. That would mean that every Republican would have to vote for it, and I believe 14 Democrats.
It's not going to happen.
After the 2 deportation flights left for Venezuela and El Salvador, Andrew Weissman went on MSNBC, where he was asked several questions about the constitutionality of this action taken by President Trump. And to him, he believed that some of this action may have been unconstitutional, and that the government was supposed to prove that these people that have been deported actually belong to this gang that's designated as foreign terrorist organization. After he said those words, Stephen Miller, the national security advisor to President Trump, went on Fox News, where he had a very, very strong reaction. He used very powerful words to Andrew Weissman. Play the clip.
We're not at war with Venezuela. We're not at war with the gang that is the subject of the executive order. There is no invasion that is going on. And you also have to show that the people you're removing are actually part of that gang, even if there were an invasion or a war. And this statute may, in fact, be very unconstitutional.
So the judge has to be convinced that these individuals aren't real. I mean, it's a huge group, and nobody's going to miss any of these people, but they're quantifiable. So can you prove that these individuals were linked with Tren de Aragua, and that Tren de Aragua is part of a Maduro operation, Stephen?
So first of all, Andrew Weissman is an absolute moron. He is a moron, and he is a fool, and he's a degenerate. Andrew Weissman has devoted his career to putting innocent Americans in jail, taking away their civil liberties. He was involved in the Mueller coup against a democratically elected President Donald J. Trump. Weissman should never be on TV anywhere. He should hang his head in eternal shame for what he's done to this country. And now he's up there shilling for people who rape and murder Americans. That's who Andrew Weissman is.
Yesterday was a very interesting hearing in the Senate where some Veterans Affairs officials came to testify in front of the Senate and explain the activities and the firing that have been taking place in the VA. Senator Bernie Sanders asked questions about the 2,500 employees that were fired and the alleged 83,000 employees that are going to be fired soon by the Department of Veterans Affairs. The exchange was very interesting. Please, let's play the clip.
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that in the fourth quarter of 24, there were over 30,000 vacancies at the VA, including 3,400 schedulers, 1,200 custodians, 1,800 social workers, 2,400 doctors, 6,300 registered nurses. I heard Mr. Engelbaum say appropriately enough that he wants to do a detailed and thoughtful review of the whole process. Do you think arbitrarily laying off 2,500 workers and planning to lay off another 83,000 is a detailed and thoughtful review?
Senator, thank you. As mentioned, the initial thing that hit the news about the planning factor is to lead and to force people to make hard decisions and recommendations. We are in the process. I will come and brief the committee, sir, at your disposal on how we are doing that over the next 3 to 4 months and what we're going to review to make sure that we tailor the mission and the people.
But if we already have, and I should tell you, and I think Mr. Montoya knows that he's familiar with our part of the world.
Yes, sir.
In White River Junction, we have a very well-functioning VA. I go around the state a lot. I talk to veterans. They're very proud of what is going on there. I don't think any veteran in this country thinks that it makes sense at a time when we already have a significant shortage of workers to arbitrarily lay off 2,500 and threaten to lay off another 83,000. Now, Mr. Chairman, as I think you are aware, the Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman? The VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Oh, you have my attention.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars just stated the other day, and I quote part of what their statement was, "We now call upon VA to reconsider its planned reduction of 83,000 employees and thoroughly review any proposed cuts prior to rolling out further announcement like this," end of quote. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to introduce a resolution supporting the VFW. I would hope that you can support that. All that they are saying, which makes common sense to me. You want to make the VA more efficient? Let's do it. You're right. Is there bureaucracy? Yup. Let's deal with that. But do it in an intelligent, planned way with the cooperation of the veterans organizations who are on the ground. Who better can come to tell you that you have people who are not working well, all right? But to arbitrarily say, hey, we're going to lay off 83,000 people, that makes sense to nobody. On a more provincial point of view, so, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to work, and I would hope that we could have bipartisan support here for simply saying, to quote Mr. Engelbaum, let's go forward in a detailed and thoughtful process. Work with us. All right. Do you believe that health care is a right for every veteran in this country?
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, let me just say.
I appreciate that.
Okay, that's fine. I agree with you. Do you think we should do a better job in reaching out? One of the problems, which I've been working on for years, some success, is letting veterans know about the benefits to which they are legally entitled. I'm not sure that we do as good a job on that as we should. Do you think we should do a better job in that area?
I'll turn that over. I know it's very, very important to do so. I know we've made strides. I'm not sure if there's anybody here that can really, you want to address that? But always think we could always do better, Senator.
I would recall, excuse me, I don't have a lot of time, I apologize, but doing a town meeting in Bennington, Vermont, a number of years ago about the prescription drug benefits the veterans are entitled to. A lot of veterans didn't even know that. But my point is, if you believe that every veteran, I'm hearing you say that, is entitled to the health care that we have provided them, if you're going to do aggressive outreach, am I hearing you say that? Okay. You're going to need more staff, not less, to take care of our veterans. All right, on a provincial note, we are on the list, whatever that may mean, in Vermont to get 2 new state-of-the-art CBOCs. One is in Chittenden County. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that. Ms. Cohen, are you familiar with that? No, okay, just. Mr. Montoya, are you familiar with that?
Very much so, sir.
Okay, can you help me out here? We have 2 on the list, one in Chittenden County, one probably in the Keene area in New Hampshire, which for Vermonters in the southern part of the state can utilize. Can you give me a status report on that, sir?
Yeah, so I know, sir, I don't have it, but I'll get it for the record for you and talk with your staff members as well. But I think this is one that's very important to our veterans in Vermont and New Hampshire to make sure that they get the care. Last I had on that is that they were going through the acquisition process, but I want to be very detailed in my response to you.
Will you get back to me on that? I'll give you a ring.
100%.
All right. All right, look, the bottom line is it's not complicated. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't think there's too much bureaucracy at the VA. I presume everybody wants to make it more efficient. I presume everybody wants to do its best for veterans. I presume we all want veterans to be able to take advantage of the programs that Congress has passed to help them.
One very interesting moment that occurred these few days was when President Trump was talking to some reporters in front of the White House. And one of the reporters accidentally hit the president with a boom mic. The president had a very interesting reaction. Play the clip.
President, walk us through the Gaza, Mr. President. Obviously, you're concerned. You're concerned about the situation in Gaza. What are the hopes now to get the hostages back?
She just became a big story tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you see that?
The mayor of Boston City, Michelle Wu, delivered yesterday her State of the Union address. And during her address, she had some very strong words directed at the White House, at President Trump, to be more specific. Play the clip.
This is our city. No one tells Boston how to take care of our own. Not kings and not presidents who think they are kings. Boston was born facing down bullies.
The famous UFC fighter, Conor McGregor, visited the US where he had a meeting with President Trump at the White House. He held a press conference few hours prior to his meeting with President Trump, where he touched on some important points directed at the government of his country, Ireland. He said this, play the clip.
I'm here to raise the issues the people of Ireland face, and it'll be music to the people of Ireland's ears, because never on the main stage has the issues the people of Ireland face been spoke. Our government has long since abandoned the voices of the people of Ireland, and it's high time that America is made aware of what is going on in Ireland. What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. Our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit. Ireland is at the cusp of, potentially losing its Irishness.
The newly installed Prime Minister of Canada had a press conference 2 days ago. And during his press conference, Prime Minister Mark Carney touched on one point, that of Canada becoming the 51st state of the United States, as has been suggested several times by President Trump. Prime Minister Mark Carney had this to say. Play the clip.
Nobody's come out forcefully and said those comments about the 51st state are just not on. Do you think that our traditional allies are not sticking their necks out because they're concerned that if they say something that'll anger President Trump, that they'll be next?
I think I would take seriously what the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said today. I don't think one needs to respond to every comment about another country. Look, we can stand up for ourselves. It's Canada strong. We can stand up for ourselves. We've called out those comments. They're disrespectful. They're not helpful. And they need to stop before, and they will have to stop before we sit down and have a conversation about our broader partnership with the United States.
There you go, folks. You all have watched and listened to these clips. You have your own personal opinions. Please leave them in the comment section. I will check it out. We will check it out. On the Action Speak Network, we respect each of your opinions. Please hit subscribe. Let's get to 1,000. I'm out.